Get ready to hear the truth about America on a show that's not immune to the facts with your host, Dan Bongino.
Okay, we're going to start like a ball of fire today because we got a lot to get out and I don't have any time to waste. Number one, if you're watching us on YouTube, if you are currently watching us on our YouTube channel, I'm begging you, I'm asking you to please migrate over to Rumble. We'll be putting this disclaimer before every YouTube video, starting probably next week. Migrate over to Rumble, rumble.com/Bongino. Please watch it over there. YouTube is attacking our channel. Again, that's what they do. The company is run by communist totalitarians. Every time I speak the truth about COVID, they go after my channel with age restrictions, demonetization, all this stuff. So I'm asking you as a favor, please go over to Rumble, watch there. The videos will still be here. They are posted later. We always post to Rumble first. I don't know how long that's going to last, but they'll still be here. But please migrate over to Rumble, rumble.com/Bongino. Do it there. I got a loaded show. Let's get right to it. Hey, why haven't you gotten a VPN yet? Get a VPN. Go to expressvpn.com/Bongino. Don't wait. Again, welcome to the Dan Bongino Show. The hysteria campaign will not stop, folks. The media is enjoying this new totalitarian power. Something very dangerous happened yesterday. Very dangerous. Joe Biden, who is currently occupying the Oval Office, Joe Biden just blatantly ignored the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court told him they could not stay the stay on evictions, that he could not, and he did it anyway. He said, listen, you can't just keep people in homes who aren't paying forever. And Biden basically gave him the middle finger. We are in a very, very dangerous time. All right. Hey, did you ever read the fine print that appears when you start browsing in incognito mode? It says your activity might still be visible to your employer, your school, or your internet service provider. Then what's the point of incognito mode then? To really stop people from seeing the websites you visit, you need to do what I do and use ExpressVPN. Think about all the times you use Wi-Fi at a coffee shop, a hotel, or your parents' house. You want people looking at what you're doing online? They can. The admin of the network can see that even in incognito mode. What's more, your home internet service provider can also see and record your browsing data. And in the United States, they're legally allowed to sell that data to advertisers. Come on, we don't need this. ExpressVPN's an app. It encrypts all of your network data, reroutes it to a network of secure servers so your private online activity stays private. Do what I do. Get ExpressVPN today. Works on all your devices. Super easy to use. The app literally has one button. Boom. Tap it to connect. Your browsing activity is secure from prying eyeballs. Stop letting strangers invade your online privacy and some selling it. Protect yourself at expressvpn.com/Bongino. Use my link, expressvpn.com/Bongino, and get 3 extra months free. That's expressvpn.com/Bongino to learn more. All right, Joe, let's go. So, yeah, we're in a very dangerous place right now, folks. Again, with the YouTube tyranny I discussed in the beginning, I think for the first time in a very long time, we've had a U.S. president completely ignore the Supreme Court. Just so we're clear, during the coronavirus pandemic, started in the Trump administration, they said, hey, landlords, you can't evict your tenants. The CDC is saying it would cause an expansion of the coronavirus. You can't evict your tenants, okay, if they're not paying. It's been over and over and over again. It's been repeated and repeated and repeated. Finally, Supreme Court said, listen, landlords got to pay bills too. You can't do this forever. It stops July 31st. Biden said, no, we're just going to do it. Listen, this is a huge story. I know it's not like the sexiest topic to talk about. This is a huge story. Biden just gave the middle finger to the Supreme Court and said, make me do it. It's all collapsing, man. Right in front of us. Right in front of us. I had a whole show planned, of course, and I'm going to get to that. But right, as always happens, right before I went on the air, something piqued my interest. I was scrolling through various social media accounts. I came across this tweet, and I thought to myself, gosh, if this doesn't explain not just the perilous times we're in due to Joe Biden and his now tyranny, he's now anointed himself king, we're just going to ignore the Supreme Court, but the cultural tyranny we find ourselves in with a generation of self-congratulatory victims, losers, and lazy people who don't get off their collective asses and do anything. I saw this tweet from an @Merman_Melville. And it said, this kind of went viral, this tweet. He says, kind of a bummer to have been born at the very end of the F-around century, if you know what I mean, just to live the rest of my life in the find out century. Wait, what? So just to be clear, I don't know who this dude or woman even is. I have no idea. It's not, the avatar is not even a person. But this has been making the rounds. You believe you were born in the find out century and the decades before you, people lived in the F around century, just having a good time? You self-congratulatory. Think about this. I want to make sure my composure here is strong. You had a generation before you and a generation before them who lived through world wars that killed millions of people. You had 2 nuclear bombs dropped. You had the Cold War, the threat of nuclear annihilation, the Spanish flu, polio, the Depression, Jim Crow. You had the Vietnam War. You had mass social unrest in many cases. And you think you were born in the find out century after those people lived to, quote, just F around? You know, if there's one tweet that sums up this generation of people, and I'm not talking to the young kids out there working hard. I'm not. I really appreciate sincerely those, 16 to 25-year-olds. Listen, that's young now. It wasn't young a century ago, but it is now. That are out there busting their humps. You got Justin here, the intern, busting his butt. He could have sat around the whole summer and done nothing. Instead, he decided to go to work, make the world better. My daughter does the same thing. She goes out and she scoops ice cream, and that's her job. Thank you. Thank you for listening to the show. Thank you for doing what you're doing, and thank you for being you. But to these victims out there who believe that the generations before you were, quote, effing around while you're finding out the consequences of their effing around, I would really appreciate if you'd evacuate the United States as soon as possible. I'll charter the jet. If you all want to get in there and fly to North Korea, I'll charter the jet for you. You understand the lack of perspective you have for your elders, what people did for you so you could live in a free country with flat screen TVs and cell phones more powerful than probably the first space shuttle. You have any idea what these people did for you? So you could sit around and watch Netflix all day in your footsie pajamas and your Snuggie roasting s'mores and playing video games. You have any idea? You think that was the F around generation while you're finding out the consequences. Why? Because you've had a quarantine for a year, which I don't even agree with, by the way, but your leftist masters did that to you because you had to live with coronavirus. You know what it's like to sit on a food line at the Depression? My grandmother used to tell me about it. You know what it's like to be hungry at night? You have any idea? You know what happens when you're hungry at night? Ask someone. You start to dream about food. I bet you've never had that dream. I'll bet those of you who busted your butt, though, and came up maybe poor, grew up poor, you know that dream. I used to dream about Raisin Bran Total. Don't ask me why. Total used to be a cereal, and I liked Raisin Bran. But when we got really hungry, that was my dream, Raisin Bran Total. What was yours? I've never had that dream. Well, thank God you haven't. But I assure you, those Depression-era babies who were your grandparents in the, quote, F-around generation, they know exactly what that dream's about. What'd you dream about? Cheese, meat, steak, chicken, a sandwich? F-around generation. You believe this? Our cultural battle is the most important battle of our time. We've lost our culture to idiots like this. All right, getting back to the show. I just saw that before I came on the air, and candidly, folks, it's infuriating. We have a failed leader right now in the White House. I think that's fairly obvious, but we are in real trouble. It's not just his ignoring this thing on evictions, which is a breaching of red lines that should never be breached, regardless of your opinion about Biden or the Supreme Court. If we don't have structure and process, we have nothing. We have nothing. The Democrats and the media encourage Biden to ignore it, stop evictions, despite the fact that landlords are going to be evicted for their own property as they're repossessed because they have no money to pay towards the mortgages of the properties they own that you're renting. And he did it anyway. But the man has lost all credibility, Joe Biden. And it's absolutely disgusting and grotesque what he's doing right now. He refuses to close the border. We now have a mass invasion at the southern border. That's what it is. Delicate language time is over. We are going to wind up by the time this disaster of this apocalypse of a president, by the time he leaves office, we are going to have 8 to 10 million people in the country additionally, illegally, who never came in, were never name checked, who were never tested for any kind of a infectious agent ever, who could be criminals, may not be criminals. We don't know. You never checked them. You have no idea. You are going to have 8 to 10 million people. We now have a crisis they're telling us is near existential at this point, the way the Biden administration is portraying the current Delta variant, the explosion in the Delta variant. And what does Biden do? Instead of Biden, who refuses to close the southern border to a mass invasion, what's happening right now, he blames Ron DeSantis for what's going on with the Delta variant. Here, first, there's a little bit of video. This is from Bill Malugin, who works at Fox News, where obviously I work as well. Bill Malugin in McAllen, Texas, taking videos of buses upon buses. Should play that if you don't mind. Every 30 minutes. Every 30 minutes. Look at this. All right. Every 30 minutes, bus upon bus upon bus of people in the country illegally being dropped off in McAllen, Texas. No idea, vaccination status, infection status, none at all. Just dropped off in the United States. And what does he do? What does Biden do? He blames Ron DeSantis. Listen to this pathetic excuse for a president of the United States, a pathetic excuse, a broken, lying, corrupt human being who lied his way into the White House. This failed human being, hey, lunch bucket kid, you can stick that up your wazoo. I'm sick of this liar, this fraud with his corrupt family. I'm sick of this guy. Listen to this pathetic excuse for a human being, not just for a president. Talk about the bad health policy going on in Florida, Ron DeSantis, and Texas with Governor Abbott, while he releases hundreds of thousands of illegal migrants in the country and has no idea about their COVID status at all. Check this out.
Do you believe that Governor DeSantis and Governor Abbott are personally making decisions that are harming their own citizens?
I believe the results of their decisions are not good for their constituents. And it's clear to me and to most of the medical experts that the decisions being made, like not allowing mask mandates in school and the like, are bad health policy. Bad health policy.
So it's bad health policy for Ron DeSantis to say, we are not going to mandate masks. If you'd like to wear them, despite the fact that there is zero evidence mask mandates have stopped or mitigated this pandemic. Zero. You cannot produce to me one location on planet Earth where they've mandated masks and the pandemic has stopped. You can't do that. You cannot produce. I know the clawing at the faces has begun. The foaming at the mouth has begun. The screaming at the skies. The pink hats are out with the liberals because you know what I'm saying is true. You cannot produce a single shred of evidence that where mask mandates have been instituted, the pandemic has stopped or even been mitigated long term. You can't produce it. So the fact that DeSantis leaves it up to your personal choice and focuses on things that matter, therapeutics, protecting the vulnerable and the elderly. That's what DeSantis is doing. That's why Florida has been quite successful in handling coronavirus relative to other states, especially New York and New Jersey, which have far higher death rates per capita. This is why Biden is focusing on DeSantis, because he is an epic failure who has allowed an invasion on our southern border, understands he is going to go down as I thought Obama had this thing locked up. Joe Biden will go down as the worst president in United States history. And believe me, even over time, even the hack media will have to tell the truth. This guy is a disgrace to humankind. He's an embarrassment. An embarrassment. You know why this bothers me so much, to why this story's under my skin, and I'm in a particularly bad mood about this morning? So you saw the video by Bill Melugin, buses upon buses, people just walking into the country, no respect whatsoever for our laws. They don't care. And by the way, no respect for our laws by Biden either. Obviously, Biden doesn't care. He's doing nothing about it. It's on video. Walking in the country, getting bussed in, no idea COVID status, anything. Criminal status, you have no idea who these people are. None. My wife had to go through the legal process. My wife is an immigrant to this country from Colombia. I've told the story many times. Folks, the process was a nightmare. We went through the Baltimore immigration office in Baltimore, Maryland. The woman in that office treated my wife so badly. I'm not just saying this because she's my wife or to add again, emotional effect to the show. I'm telling you, I don't know if I've ever talked about this before. She treated my wife terribly. There was this, I don't even know if it was ICE back then. Maybe it was INS. I'm not even sure. She went through the process, my wife, so long ago. But we go, she goes in the Baltimore office. The lady who was not a, I can believe that part out because that just irks me even more. But having been a federal agent at the time myself, you don't treat people like that. She talked to my wife like she was some degenerate loser. My wife had a great job, a six-figure salary. She had a great position as a vice president in a very significant firm in Washington, D.C. My wife speaks perfect English. Perfect English. She's completely bilingual. My wife has a college degree in computer science. My wife knows exactly what to do to build that American dream. And this person spoke to my wife like she was a loser. She accused her of everything from a sham marriage to me. Imagine that. My wife and I married 20, sham marriage, 20. That's a long time to stay in a sham marriage, 20 years. Everything. Accused her of like financial wheeling and dealing stuff. My wife was like, what are you even talking about? Are you a crazy person? My wife got a threatening letter in the mail from INS, all for going through the legal process. You know what? She could have turned around, went back to Mexico and walked right in. She would have had no problems at all right now. She did it the right way. She raised her hand and pledged allegiance to this country proudly. I told you it was one of the proudest days of my life. We were in that finally when we were done with this woman. Folks, we had a contact. Again, I'm not sure if I've ever told this story. If I have, forgive me, but it got so bad with this ICE officer. We actually had to contact the local congressman. That's how bad it got. Accusing her of the most disgusting things. But keep in mind, obviously no evidence, any of it. The lady was just in a bad mood and just wanted to harass my wife. This went on for months. For months. Now you just waltz right in. Give you a mask, which you can throw away at any moment. You're here to stay. This president of the United States is a disgrace. He's a disgrace to all of humankind, not just to politicians. He is a disgrace. He has embarrassed this country. He is a fraud. He is a huckster. He is a race huckster. He's a charlatan. He is a phony. He is a fake, and he is corrupt. And he is destroying this country. There is no way we can absorb 8 to 10 million people here illegally. Many of them with very little means to support themselves, many of whom don't even speak the language. We have no idea who they are, in the middle of what they're calling an existential pandemic. There's no way that can continue. By the way, folks, they can't have it both ways. They can't. Jason Riley has a great piece in the Wall Street Journal today. Is Biden serious about COVID? Well, he'll have to protect the border. The government releases migrants untested to live in tight spaces alongside scores of strangers. I thought we were in the middle of one of the worst pandemics in human history that required all of these emergency measures. Face masks on all the time, forced vaccinations in New York City, forced vaccinations from companies, forced vaccinations in the military. So when the emergency measures have to be taken for American citizens like my wife, who were dumb enough to go through the legal process. I'm being sarcastic, when they could have just walked in. But if you're an illegal immigrant, you get super citizen rights again. Super citizen rights. You get to walk in and do whatever you want. You don't even have to be mandated at the border. If you serve in the U.S. military, you may have to get vaccinated. Even if you don't want it and have a natural immunity. Even if you don't want it, you are subjected to that. But you walk in the country illegally, give the double-barreled middle finger, not that for you. You get super citizen rights. My wife was hassled so badly for doing it the right way. Stupid. Should have just walked right in. Should have left, taken a plane to Cancun, Mexico, and just walked back right across the border. Well, the blaming of DeSantis in Florida is clearly a distraction. It's a distraction because Biden is a failed human being, not just a failed president. The man is a disgrace. History will judge this loser poorly. Well, DeSantis has had enough of his BS and everyone in the media. I'm going to get to that in a second because it's important. Ron DeSantis. Thank God for Ron DeSantis. This country be in a rough spot without him. All right, let me get to my second sponsor here. Pissed this morning. That tweet really set me off. I was in such a good mood too when I saw that tweet about this generation. Really? You got it rough. That was the F-around generation. My grandfather, fighting in the Battle of the Bulge, used to wake up in the middle of the night, screaming sometimes with nightmares from the war he was in and never, ever talked about. And yes, you're right. That was the F-around generation. That was it. What a bunch of losers. How did we raise such a generation of imbeciles? Ugh. All right, I'll get to the DeSantis piece in a second on a lighter note because it is good that we've got this guy. Hey, the unknown came in 2020, changed the workplace forever. Well, some of us are getting back to the office. Some of us find ourselves in a new normal at home. The future of work has changed, so is the future of seating. This is my X chair. I have it right here. X chair is at the forefront of home and office seating during the transition. Listen, plain and simple, folks, the best chair out there. It's the best chair I've ever had, and I have to do a lot of sitting between the radio show and this. Now, X Chair's newest innovation, Elemax temperature regulation, will take your seating comfort to a whole new level. X Chair patent-pending Elemax delivers cooling, heat, and massage technology directly to your core. Helps increase blood flow, muscle recovery, and energy, all perks that make working from home or the office a joy. You feeling a bit warm in the summer? Set your Elemax to cooling. The air conditioning in your home or office cranked up too high? Set the Elemax to heating. The buttons are right there on the back. It's real simple. Warm up and then soothe those tired muscles. Feeling stressed out? Turn on the Elemax massage therapy and just relax. X-Chair's patented dynamic variable support is already the best in class. It has responsive lower back support. Now with Elemax, your comfort is guaranteed. You won't believe the difference till you feel it for yourself. Imagine regulating your body temperature and getting massage therapy while you're working. There's never been a better time to ditch that old no-name office chair and boost your productivity by treating yourself to the joys of an X-Chair. Again, I got mine right here. How do you get it? Go to xchairbongino.com now. That's the letter X, chairbongino.com, or call 1-844-4XChair for $100 off your order. X-Chair has a 30-day guarantee of complete comfort, and you can finance your purchase for as little as $30 a month. Go to xchairbongino.com now and use code XWheels for free X-Wheel blade casters. That's xchairbongino.com. You'll love it. Check it out. All right, on a bit of a lighter note, we haven't done one of these in, about 7 days? Here's Ron DeSantis strikes again. So Ron DeSantis has had about enough of this stuff, let's say. And DeSantis is furious because the media, Joe Biden and others, seem to be blaming him for this outbreak, despite the fact that New York, New Jersey, and a variety of other states have performed far worse, because Ron DeSantis is a likely presidential contender. And this is all about politics, because Biden and his media acolytes are nothing but failed human beings with no moral compass whatsoever, not a shred of dignity. So now the media, if you are a Republican and you stand against mask mandates, you deserve to die. Mark my words, said it on the radio show yesterday. I'll say it again on the radio show, and I'll say it again now. It is Wednesday, August 4th. If I die of coronavirus, knock on wood, hopefully I do not. If I die of coronavirus, the media will celebrate my death. So will liberals, because that's where we are right now. They are blaming everyone who doesn't support these draconian lockdowns and everything else. And Ron DeSantis had enough of it. Check this out.
The kids are in the Joe DiMaggio hospital. 2 of them are in ICU. Don't you think the mask is also for children?
Do you have any data to suggest that? Do you know if they were wearing masks?
I know they weren't vaccinated.
Well, they're not right. They're not eligible for the vaccination. I mean, that's not. I mean, well, so you're blaming the kids, saying they weren't wearing masks and so they're in the ICU. With all due respect, I find that deplorable. To blame a victim who ends up being hospitalized. You don't know their story. You don't know what happened with that. And this has been a really negative thing throughout this whole thing with some of these quote experts, some of the media. Somebody contracts a highly transmissible airborne virus, and they're viewed as having done something wrong. And that's just not the way you do it. When people come in, you treat them. You know, we obviously have some people that are not vaccinated that have been admitted to hospitals. Are you going to sit there? Are you going to sit there and criticize? Or are we going to try to treat and try to help the folks? You know, I'm just sick of this judge. I'm sick of the judgmental stuff on some of this stuff. Nobody's trying to get ill here. Okay. There's people that were hermits for 1.5 years that wore 6 masks and did that and still contracted it. Okay. So let's just be real here. And, let's not indulge these things that somehow it's their fault for not doing it.
Good. This is how sick and gross our media people are, and good for Ron DeSantis for calling them out. If you engage in any behavior that doesn't toe the media line, any behavior whatsoever, meaning you speak out against mask mandates, you say to people, hey, listen, do your own homework on the vaccine. I just don't think the government should be telling you what to do with at this point, still an experimental vaccine. The media wants you to die. And so do many leftists. They want you to die because they live in a moral vacuum. They are in a black hole of values and dignity. You understand that? They have none. They don't get it. They will never get it. It's going to require people like DeSantis to alert everyone else to the moral depravity that they have. You'll never wake them up. They're not going to grow morals tomorrow. The media are terrible people. And notice, by the way, we know that other high-risk behaviors cause other viruses as well. But when it involves a socially unacceptable conversation, the media doesn't blame people for their death there. Matter of fact, can you imagine for a moment a mass campaign by people out there to blame men for contracting HIV who engage in high-risk behavior? Oh, my God. I thought I thought that was okay with coronavirus. What they deem high-risk, but you walk out without a mask, you deserve to die. So let me get this straight. If someone contracts HIV and is dying, the media now, by your own rules, you're supposed to celebrate their death because some may have engaged in high-risk behavior. Do you know how sick that would be? Now the media is saying, okay, he's right again, Dan Bongino. Gosh, he is right. We are blaming people for their death, but only people we don't politically like, conservatives who stand against government mandates. When we have other groups that are protected classes in our mind, if they engage in high-risk behavior, which we absolutely know can cause a deadly virus like HIV, don't dare call them out. You see the double standard again? They deem high-risk behavior for conservatives not mask wearing. I hope they die. HIV, which we know can be fatal and is obviously very serious. We know the high-risk behaviors there that can lead to intravenous drug use and stuff. You don't see the media celebrating all their deaths, do you? Those drug users, thank God they're dead. We warned them. Why? Because it's sick and deranged. These people are sociopaths. They only want you to die because you're Republicans. Yes, that's right. These people are sick. This has nothing to do with high-risk behaviors or anything. They just want you to die because you're Republicans. They don't care. These are sick people. The hypocrisy, however, is everywhere. Here's Jen Psaki yesterday. So the southern borders, we just played the video, okay? Bill Malugin in McAllen, Texas. The southern border is not a border at all. There is no southern border. Please stop this silliness. There's no border. A border is a demarcation point. Something has to happen. We have points of entry. There's a process. What is a non-border? A non-border is no demarcation point. You want to walk in from Mexico? Just walk in. That's what there's no border. Please stop telling everyone there's a southern border. There is no southern border. It is entirely evaporated. You walk in, COVID status, positive, negative, nobody has any idea. But if you come in from European countries, there are very clear restrictions. Most of them, and the Canadian border, by the way, is closed. I don't know if you know that, but the Canadian border is closed. But there are severe travel restrictions for people coming to the United States from Europe. So what you should do from Europe is travel to Mexico and just walk in. Here's Psaki trying to, Peppermint Patty, again, another epic failure of a human being. A just devout liar, a disinformation Pravda specialist of the highest order. She's not even good at it, by the way. Here she is saying, well, yeah, the travel restrictions from Europe are necessary because medical experts told us that. What did they tell you about the southern border? Oh, they didn't say anything about the southern border. Listen to this crap.
The White House has stressed that it's following the health and the science when it comes to COVID-19, and that has been the basis for the ongoing international travel restrictions. But what is the health or scientific basis for the travel restrictions on vaccinated individuals from Europe or Canada or other nations when people who are unvaccinated from other countries are allowed to come into the United States?
I would certainly point you to our health and medical teams who make these decisions and evaluate what we need to do from a public health perspective to keep the American people safe at a time where the Delta variant is rising and one where we are very cognizant about keeping the American people safe.
And a quick follow-up on that. When it comes to countries that have more vaccinated individuals than the United States does at this point as a percentage of population, what is the basis for those restrictions?
Again, I would point you to our public health officials who are leading this effort and determining when we can raise or end those restrictions. I certainly understand there's a desire to do that by many people in the United States, many people around the world. We understand that. I just don't have an update on it and when that will happen.
I mean, is this serious? So just where the show's only 30 minutes in, we've covered a lot of material. We got YouTube tyranny, Biden completely ignoring the Supreme Court now, telling landlords they have to go bankrupt, violating the takings clause, where, I mean, it's obvious. The federal government's not just taking people's property. You're a landlord, you can't collect rent, but the bank's going to collect it from you, so therefore we're stealing your property. You've got Biden completely dissolving and evaporating our southern border, letting people in the country, COVID positive or not. Nobody seems to care in the administration hall. Then you have him falsely blaming Ron DeSantis for a crisis that really started in New York and New Jersey and other states that have had far worse. Now you have Jen Psaki, when put on the spot and asked to explain why the southern border is basically open, but you can't travel here from Europe or Canada. She says, well, we cite the health experts. They are totally full of stuff. Totally. No credibility at all. Zero. Stop listening to these idiots, please. These people are going to put you in danger. Stop listening to these morons. Speaking of morons and hypocrisy, here's another video of the bartender up on Capitol Hill. Watch this. This is from Hat Tip Breitbart. So she's getting ready for a photo op, AOC. And watch what happens with the mask. We need the mask. The mask prevent the spread. No evidence that's true at all. None. We need the mask. Put your masks on. We're telling you to put the masks on because we can. Because we're big daddy government. They've anointed themselves monarchs. They have scepters, crowns, everything. Big fancy robes. You better put the mask on. But watch what AOC does. She gets ready for a photo op up on Capitol Hill, sitting with a group of her followers, her acolytes there. Mask goes right on. Photo op's over. Mask comes right off. Check this out.
Let's take a quick photo so we can keep the pressure up so other colleagues can come out here. Yeah? Great.
Is this your New York crew?
No, this is everybody, all right? Oh, Corey had to run to a, should go to a hit. She's okay, I guess, okay, scared.
Hi.
Housing is a human right on three. 1, 2, 3.
Housing is a human right. Thanks, guys. Everybody say whiskey.
Whiskey.
Folks, you got to watch the video, Rumble, if you're listening on audio. Rumble.com/Bongino. Please, just don't watch it on YouTube. Masks off the whole time. They get ready for a picture. She puts the mask on. 1 minute later, the mask comes off again. Again, please explain to me how we're in the midst of an existential pandemic we're all going to die from, so our constitutional rights have to be taken away. Can't assemble, can't go to church, can't even speak to other people, wear a mask in front of your kids, and yet, in that existential crisis where we're all going to die and the mask is going to protect you, AOC doesn't seem to care about the mask or the existential crisis. Mask off, photo, mask on, photo's done, mask off. These people are total frauds. They don't have a shred of human dignity, not one. These people are liars and they are putting you in real danger. The hysteria campaign, folks, won't stop, though, I assure you. You know what? Let me get to my my last sponsor because it's going to start again. Something else is out there on the horizon. Don't miss this next segment. Something else is coming your way. I promise you. The Delta, when the Delta peaks and they're already got their bullpen, bring in the righty. Bring in the righty when Delta goes away. Bring them in. Maybe the lefty. We'll see. Go to the pen. You need some sleep after this show? This show, my anger meters through the roof. Get some sleep. Get some sleep. Helix Sleep. They have a quiz that takes just 2 minutes to complete. It matches your body type and sleep preferences to the perfect mattress for you. Why buy a mattress made for someone else? With Helix, you're getting a mattress you know will be perfect for the way you sleep. They have several different mattress models to choose from. They have soft, medium, and firm mattresses. Mattresses great for cooling you down if you sleep hot. Even a Helix Plus mattress for plus-size sleepers. I took the Helix quiz. I was matched to a Midnight Lux. I love it. I needed something a little firm for my shoulders. Folks, don't go into a mattress store. What do you get, like 5 seconds on the mattress? Oh, yeah, that's good for me. No, take the quiz. Take the quiz. You don't know what's going to be any good. Take the Helix quiz. I've enjoyed getting all the emails and videos from all of you who've gotten the Helix mattress of your dreams. With Helix, the mattress comes right to your door, shipped for free. You don't have to go to a mattress store again. They have a 10-year warranty. You get to try it out 100 nights, risk-free. Take the trial there. They even pick it up for you if you don't love it, but you will. Helix was awarded the #1 best overall mattress pick of 2020 by GQ and Wired Magazine. Helix also offers exclusive discounts for military, first responders, teachers, and students. It's a great mattress, folks. Great mattress. Helix is offering up to $200 off all mattress orders and 2 free pillows for our listeners at helixsleep.com/Dan. That's HELIX, helixsleep.com/Dan. Take the quiz. Get the mattress of your dreams today. helixsleep.com/Dan. All right. So the ongoing hysteria campaign, I promise you, will not stop. Why? Because the leftists are enjoying this. Joe Biden now gets to ignore the Supreme Court. YouTube gets to crush my channel. Twitter gets to cite everything misinformation that they don't agree with on COVID. They get to jam you full of a medicine you may want or don't want. They get to ignore natural immunity. They get to put a face diaper on your face. This is what they want. They love this. The hysteria has fed into the leftist, socialist, totalitarian impulse, and they are digging every minute of this. This is like spinach to Popeye for them. So what they're afraid of now is that the Delta variant may ebb because it's going to run out of human hosts as people develop natural immunity and as the vaccine for some wards off potential infections. Here it is, right around the corner, Washington Post. You heard it here first. They're already prepping you for the next bring in the righty out of the bullpen once our Delta hysteria stops. Said it yesterday. Here's what we know about the Delta Plus variant. The Delta Plus variant. The Delta Plus variant's coming next. Delta Plus. Now, Guy and I discussed this morning. Guy was right. He goes, you think they sat around in a focus group and tried to decide what to name this so it would sound extra scary? I said, Guy, that's genius. So someone may have suggested first, like, maybe we should just name it Delta 2. No. Delta 2 is definitely not scary enough. We need to scare people. What about Delta, the sequel? Can't have that. You can't have that. We got to call it something extra scary, as if it has extra superpowers. You know, like it's been plussed up, and someone said, plussed up, that's it. It's Delta Plus. Delta Plus. We're going to name it the Delta Plus. Do you understand this is never going to stop? You either take a stand right now against lockdowns, mask mandates, these ridiculous school closures, and also either, I'm telling you, I can't be nice about it or cute about it anymore. A lot of you, thankfully, are out there. You're warriors. Thank you. Sorry, I can't reach my heart. Thank you because of my elbows. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. I mean it. But for those of you on the sidelines who think this isn't going to come to my door, I'm not going to have to fight this fight, I'll let everyone else do it. You're wrong. You are wrong. This will never, ever stop until you stop it. We need mass civil disobedience like we've never seen before. And yes, that means you. You, all of you. This fight is going to come to your door. I promise you. It's either going to affect your business, your kids, your livelihood. There's no way you don't get a knock one day. This will never stop. It'll go from the Wuhan version to the Alpha version, to the Beta version, to the Delta version, to the Delta Plus, to the Lambda, to the Alpha Omega, to the Omega Epsilon Phi. It'll be like a sorority and a fraternity. It will never stop because they don't want it to stop. The media's loving this. It feeds their totalitarian impulse. And just when you think we've reached peak hysteria, they start prepping you for the next one. Delta Plus, that's coming next. The righty. The bullpen. You think we've reached peak hysteria? Nope. Here is a joke of a human being, Francis Collins of the NIH. Just again, another embarrassment to humankind. He went on CNN yesterday, and trust me, he meant every word. I'll give you his clarification. He's not clarifying anything. No, he doesn't equivocate at all in this appearance, where he suggests on CNN that we should be masking up in front of our kids at home. Listen to this dunce.
It's clear that this variant is capable of causing serious illness in children. You have heard those stories coming out of Louisiana pediatric ICUs where there are kids as young as a few months old who are sick from this. That is rare. Certainly younger people are less likely to fall ill. But anybody who tries to tell you, you don't have to worry about it if you're a young, healthy person, there's many counterexamples all around us now. So, yeah, you do need to think about it. And that's the reason why the recommendations are for kids under 12 that they avoid being in places where they might get infected, which means recommendations of mask wearing in schools, and that at home, parents of unvaccinated kids should be thoughtful about this. And the recommendation is to wear masks there as well.
Let me just follow up on that.
I know that's uncomfortable. I know it seems weird, but it is the best way to protect your kids.
That's a good point. Justin has a good point. He goes, watch the video. Even the anchor's shocked. Even the CNN anchor's like, what are you, an idiot? On CNN, where they only hire idiots. There's like a resume. And there's like a file of normal people that goes in the garbage. Then there's the idiot file. That's where CNN hires at. You know, when I used to be a recruiter with the Secret Service, right? We had two piles. You had like the former cops pile, and then you had like the diversity pile. I don't mean like diversity like the leftist way. I mean like school teachers, lawyers, whatever. CNN has two piles. Here are the idiots. Here are the sane people. Like, sane people. Right? Here you go. You're like, sane people. Here you go. They're like, there you go, sane people. Sane resumes. There you go. Sane resumes everywhere. There you go. We need the idiots. Even poor Justin, you almost got crushed. We need only idiots. Even the CNN idiots are like, please, this sounds like the dumbest thing I've ever. I know, pull the Geraldo, throw it, baby. No, Geraldo, no, wait, this is the Geraldo. Geraldo crumpled it up and he threw it at the camera.
I'm sick of you, Bongino. I'm sick of you. You're a punk.
I missed the camera because I can't even throw anymore. It's pathetic. I throw like Fauci these days because I actually played baseball once, which is really pathetic. Even the CNN idiots are like, dude, wear a mask. What are you, crazy? Are you smoking psychopharmacological agents? What are you, nuts? Now, let's be crystal clear. Collins meant every bit of that. Notice he says, too, because he knows he knows he means what he says. Joe, did you catch it? Right before he says it, he says, I know this sounds crazy. Yes, because it is.
Yeah.
In other words, Joe, he's prepping himself for what he's going to say. It's not a mistake. It wasn't an extemporaneous slip of the tongue. He meant every word. These are the crazy people leading the country right now. This is the NIH director, National Institutes of Health. This is a crazy person. So what happens is the public backlash, of course, because people now are just laughing at these idiots. Whether it's Psaki, we got to close the country to Europe and Canada. What about the southern border? No, let everybody in. That's okay. No problem. We're just laughing at you idiots. Joe Biden, blame Ron DeSantis. What about Cuomo and Phil Murphy in New Jersey? No, they're okay. Yeah, but they lead the country in deaths per 100,000. They're fine. They're fine. Give them an Emmy. Give them an Emmy. That's why no one pays attention to these idiots. So Francis Collins, after the world just laughed at him, even the CNN guy from the idiot pile, he's like, what an idiot. Collins had to put out this tweet. My guess is the White House told him, listen, now you're even making us look stupid, which is kind of hard to do. He says, let me clarify the masking message I garbled on New Day. No, he didn't garble it. He says vaccinated parents who live in communities with high COVID transmission rates should mask when out in public indoor settings to minimize risk to their unvaccinated kids. No need to mask at home. He does not mean that. He only said that because even the ridiculous, dopey, imbecilic Biden White House was like, dude, now everybody's just laughing at us again because we're morons. You notice, by the way, how they're playing down natural immunity? You haven't heard anything about that, right? Why? Why aren't we hearing any natural immunity? Because there are some liberals listening, to be clear. Is if you acquire the infection, COVID-19, whatever variant it may be, your body, because it's an infection, will develop some form of immunity. A quick reaction, antibody force, and longer-term protection in the form of B and T cells. Long-term immunological memory. It's a biological fact. It's not a political talking point. It's why when you were a kid and you got chicken pox, you don't get chicken pox again. Now, is immunity for life? Depends. I mean, some viruses have managed to evade immunity. Like the norovirus. The norovirus has managed to be particularly skillful at evading attempts at immunity. Also, viruses mutate. So you may be immune to one specific form of the influenza virus, the flu, but you may not be particularly immune to another one, although you may have a muted inflammatory response. Some viruses even use your own immunity against you if it's a different serotype. It's called antibody-dependent enhancement. How do I know that? I lived through it. I caught dengue fever in Panama in my prior line of work down there with Jenna Bush. Dengue fever's no fun. They call it breakbone fever for a reason. It's really horrible. It was the worst thing I ever went through, illness-wise. It was bad. With dengue fever, if you get reinfected with a different serotype of that specific pathogen, you get what's called antibody-dependent enhancement. The inflammatory response from the reinfection uses your own immune system against you. And you folks, look this up, by the way. Don't take my word for it. You think I'm making it. I'm not trying to play doctor. I do a lot of homework, especially when it involves my own health. You can get what's called hemorrhagic fever when you're reinfected with dengue, where your internal organs start to basically bleed and hemorrhage. It's brutal. It can be fatal in many cases. In many cases, it is. So it's not simple, but there are biological facts like many viruses induce long-term immunity. Why isn't the Biden administration talking about what we're talking about in our show? What are we trying to pretend to be doctors today? No, we're trying to give you facts so you can make responsible decisions, which YouTube doesn't want in their channels. Again, please go watch it, Rumble. I don't like dealing with communists at all. I only do it out of convenience for you. We will not be here forever on YouTube. I hate this, but it is full of commies. We will give you the facts, despite their attempts to keep them from you. Cheryl Atkinson has a very well-done piece. It'll be in my newsletter today. To access the piece, please go to bongino.com/newsletter. Click sign up. It's free. There's no charge for it. We will send you these articles every single day. A great reporter, Cheryl Atkinson. Check this out. It's from yesterday. COVID-19 natural immunity compared to vaccine-induced immunity, the definitive summary. Now, Cheryl Atkinson does something here the media and the Biden administration, AOC, and the other idiots won't do. She cites actual scientific studies showing you that the benefits of natural immunity may be on par with the vaccine or may be better. It's hard to tell for one very simple reason, if I may get a little science-y at the moment. There's mortality associated with natural immunity. So you're not necessarily getting an unbiased sample. Does that make sense? People, let me just say it simpler. Many people who get infected, especially high-risk people with COVID, die. So you obviously can't detect their natural immunity because they're dead. So it's not the same sample size as a vaccine where a lot fewer people have died from the vaccine than they have from natural infection. So you're not comparing necessarily apples to apples. Doesn't mean you can't do a comparison, but it's not apples to apples. It's kind of apples to oranges. Joe, that makes sense? Like you're not getting the same group because the people who may have survived natural infection may have different qualities and confounding variables, whereas people who are vaccinated and survived don't have. You get it? Yeah. So Cheryl Atkinson, you know what I'm saying, explains it well, but she puts actual science in here, something you won't get from the left. Now, why are they downplaying natural immunity? I'll get to this in a second. Yeah, the piece. Sorry, I don't mean to do an overly long intro, but it's important. They're downplaying it, number one, natural immunity, because they need to keep the hysteria going. Delta wears down. Delta plus, the righty, get him out of the bullpen. Delta plus, who's warming up after him? The Lambda? Get the Lambda. Epsilon after that. Bring him in. It's like a 5-man rotation. Bring them in, plus relievers. They need to keep the hysteria going. So if they talk about natural immunity and they mention, you know what, throw the first screenshot up, and they mention this, the fact that 120 million Americans, more than 1 in 3, have already battled COVID, while an estimated 0.6% died, the other 99.4% of those infected survived with a presumed immune status that appears to be superior to that which comes with vaccination. Again, it's tough to compare because the groups aren't the same, obviously. If they tell you that potentially a third of America may have some form of natural immunity to this virus, we don't know how long it lasts. Let me be clear. Why? We've only been dealing with this virus for about 1.5 years. We don't know. I don't do pseudoscience like Biden and YouTube. We don't know. But we know that they have likely, strong possibility, they have some form of immunity that may be durable. They don't want to tell you that a third of the country may have some durable immunity. How long, we don't. Why? Because then you're not going to be hysterical. They need you hysterical so they can take your rights. They're loving this. That's the first reason. The second reason they don't want to tell you about 120 million people who may have some form of durable immunity is then there's no orders to give. You can't tell people to do stuff, right? If they may have durable natural immunity from having been infected, you can't order them to wear them. Well, there's no order to give if they believe they're immune. They're not going to want to wear a mask and they're not going to get a vaccine. 2 things they want to order you to do because they're totalitarians. They enjoy it. The power overused, body blows to the body of freedom, the vax mandate and the mask mandates. They're ways to soften you up for future tyranny and totalitarianism. There's no order to give if you have natural immunity. If you have natural immunity, you may not need the vaccine. Not now, at least. You may not need to wear a mask either. And they don't want that. Here, the second. There's actual, you want to see, again, science? I'm sure YouTube will ban this because they're commies and they're thugs and they hate free speech. And I don't want to see Susan Wojcicki's BS in the Wall Street Journal. You're another disgrace to humanity. Again, I've told you, just ban me from your channel. Have some cojones. Stand up. You think we're misinformation or informing people misinformation using actual science? Ban us from the channel. I've dared you 1,000 times. You don't do it. You don't do it because you love the revenue. You thieves. Disgusting filth at YouTube. Here's actual science from Cheryl Atkinson. Here's a study. Longitudinal analysis shows durable and broad immune memory after SARS-CoV-2 infection with persisting antibody responses in memory B and T cells. Studies dated July 20th, 2021. They followed 254 COVID patients for up to 8 months and concluded, get ready, YouTube, ban this. This doesn't fit your hysteria agenda. They concluded that these patients had, quote, durable, broad-based immune responses. In fact, even mild COVID infections protected the patients from an earlier version of SARS coronavirus that first emerged in 2003 and against COVID-19 variants. Here's a quote from the Science, Screwtube. Taken together, these results suggest that broad and effective immunity may persist long-term in recovered COVID-19 patients, concludes the study scientist. They don't want you to know that. It's a panic campaign all the time, every day. All right, let's go to a little bit of good news. I know you've probably seen this 1,000 times today and yesterday. We got it on the air live. We were on the radio show. But have you seen this video of Tamyra Mensah Stock? She's a wrestler for the U.S. Olympic team. Happens to be a minority woman, which, again, does not matter to conservatives at all, but matters a whole lot to liberals who judge people exclusively by their skin color because they're racist. Here is this beautiful, wonderful, talented, just rock star of a human being, Tamyra Mensah Stock. She wins the gold medal in U.S. women's wrestling. And here's what she said afterwards. Check this out.
That American flag around your shoulders looks pretty good. How does that feel to represent your country like this?
It feels amazing. I love representing the U.S. I freaking love living there. I love it. And I'm so happy I get to represent USA. Love it.
Well said. Congratulations. Enjoy that gold. And we'll see you out there on the podium, okay?
Thank you. I'll try not to cry, but no promises.
God bless this woman. You can't watch it. I know you've seen it a lot today, but, in this, we started the show obviously on this dour note with this broken culture with these young victims in the United. Oh my gosh, we're growing up in the find out generation. We were taken advantage of by the F around generation. And you see these losers kneeling. Losers, they lost. This loser U.S. women's soccer team. You're losers. You lost. Kneeling before our national anthem. You're losers. You lost. Well, Dan, you'd never competed in the Olympics. You know what? If I did, I wouldn't be kneeling for our national anthem. A lot of people have talent. And a lot of people with talent are losers. They're the stupid, smart people we've been talking about for a whole long time. But here's a winner. Tamyra Mensah Stock. God bless you. Listen, too, I don't know your politics, and I don't care. I don't want to know. I just know you're a real hero, and you're what this country needed right now. I don't care who she voted for. She's proud of this country, and I'm proud of her for whatever that's worth. God bless you. Hey, one more thing. I know you scrolled out there, but can we do this Washington Examiner article? I know we got just a minute left, but I want to squeeze this in because I didn't get to it yesterday, and we're running towards the end of the week. Hey, just one more quick article. And you wanted me to leave on a good note, right? That's what they're saying. They're like, it's such a nice story. I can see what they're doing. The production. They're like, leave on a good. This is one quick story because this is kind of a good note, even though the story sounds bad. Washington Examiner, Naomi Lynn. Biden's trying to stem the flow of minority voters away from the Democrats ahead of the midterms. Folks, this is good news, too. Minority voters are fleeing the Democrat Party in droves. I'll get into a little more detail on the radio show today. We got Attorney General Ken Paxton coming on the show today. But there are 4 reasons this is happening. In my opinion, it's probably more, but here are the 4 big ones why minority voters are saying, I'm done with you idiots. I'm done. Number 1, Cuba. The fact that the Democrats are full-blown socialists right now is infuriating Cuban voters. Folks, there are a lot of them, a lot in South Florida, a ton. Second, Asian Americans. Many Asian high school students, college students are finding themselves discriminated against in the academic and work environments because racist liberals say, Asians are too smart to have jobs. That's what they say because they're racist. Asians are picking up on that. You're seeing it in California where they're starting to vote for Republicans who defend their right to live freely with big R, God-given rights. So the Democrats hate freedom in Cuba. They can't stand Asians, and Asians are catching on. Third, there are mass COVID lockdowns that are destroying minority businesses throughout the United States. And fourth, school choice. You're basically stealing away any chance of future prosperity against a generation of young African-American kids who will never get a shot at our future. I believe it's those 4 reasons. Those 4 reasons, in addition to the endless focus on race, ironically, that are encouraging minority voters, let's say, to leave the Democrat Party in droves. I don't think it's going to stop. I think they're in real trouble. Real trouble coming up. Maybe not this midterm, but within the next decade, I think you're going to see a mass migration. Hey, folks, thanks again for tuning in. Please make Bongino Report, I haven't mentioned it in a while, your new homepage. Get away, if I may beg you to do this, please, from Drudge Report. Drudge Report is nothing but a hysteria panic merchant. There are a number of alternatives out there. It's not just mine, but I have Bongino Report. You can get better news there. We're more dedicated to facts and science over there and not insanity. BonginoReport.com. Make it your homepage for news in the morning. BonginoReport.com. Thanks again for tuning in. See you tomorrow.
You just heard the Dan Bongino Show.